And you have to have, I assume, that type of unbridled confidence to be a general manager in the NFL. It's not an easy position at all. But manager is the second part of that. And managing relationships is a massive part of your job. He's failed at that with, obviously, his number one player quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, going to go down as the greatest player in the history of the franchise. And also the number two guy, Davante Adams, came out and said, I think I deserve to be the highest paid player. And with that, he didn't say, he was asked with the Aaron situation and that thing. He said, I still believe that I deserve to be the highest paid player. Gutekunst follows up and says that Davante and I have different views on what highest paid wide receiver of all time means. Okay. All right, Gutekunst is like, that's not the answer to give. If you're currently negotiating with Davante Adams, publicly you can do this a little bit differently than you have been. Now, everybody's going to say that Gutekunst has to think about the future of the organization, everything like that. Well, what about Aaron thinking about the future of the organization, pointing out the fact that this guy's maybe a fucking idiot? Yep. Hey, maybe this guy is an absolute stooge. Maybe this isn't the right guy to have power. And even though there's no owner and there's potentially a power vacuum, maybe we should start thinking about who is in control of a franchise that is beloved by millions and millions of people. And Aaron has said, this is strictly me saying this after watching Gutekunst answer what Aaron Rodgers did after people around the league in pretty good positions around the league saying that was one of the best things I've ever seen somebody do. He didn't bury his teammates. He didn't bury anybody, but the situation that was, created over years and years of ineptitude. I think it's been a wild 24 hours for the Green Bay Packers fans. I'd assume you've learned a lot about a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny that you mentioned like what everyone's saying on TV and stuff like that, because after Gutekunst said that, like, hey, we got Randall Cobb for Aaron. Like, he wasn't a player that we would have been going after. He's, like, already kind of setting up that narrative for people to spin. Like, see, this is why he can't have a say in things, because he's bringing in his old buddies who don't have football left. So it's like, it really is interesting to see how many people reacted to Rodgers' press conference with, like, oh, he's an egomaniac, this guy's crazy, and how many people were like...
Who? I can't believe that was the takeaway.
I mean, it wasn't like the overwhelming, but I'm still surprised at how many of those I did see. Because I figured it was kind of just like, hey, we were waiting for all of this stuff to be said. Everyone kind of knew that this was going on tongue-in-cheek, but for him to go up there and lay it all out, I was surprised at how many people were like, oh, geez, he's an egomaniac. He shouldn't have this much control, all that kind of stuff.
I almost texted Chris Ballard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I almost texted Chris Ballard and said, why wouldn't you want one of the greatest football minds of all time's input on this? I almost texted Chris, because I don't know any other general manager. I guess I do. I know Andrew Barry, too. I could have texted
Telesco.
I could have texted Tom Telesco. Okay, so I could have texted these
a couple guys.
But I could have done this thing and asked them, and I didn't because they're in the middle of camp and they got to do that. But honestly, I wonder if everybody else is thinking the same thing. Like, why wouldn't you want Aaron Rodgers' input in something that he is directly correlated with and one of the greatest to ever do it? Like, why wouldn't you? Why would you just ignore those things? Aaron even said, like, I've tried to recruit, and they just kind of shoo me out of there. It's like, why wouldn't you want your quarterback, who's the greatest of all time, to do that? Unless you were just a power trip, ego-driven human who just thinks, like, oh, I'm smarter than everybody, regardless if they're going to be on the Mount Rushmore of the history of the fucking league or not. Like, why would you not? I think, honestly, after hearing obviously, Gutekunst, I've always kind of had an interesting feeling towards him, but I didn't fully understand the Green Bay Packers, I think, because it's a much different operation because they don't have an owner. And obviously, the Jordan Love draft pick, you get it. Like, I've always had, I don't think I've ever had this feeling of super negativity towards Gutekunst, just like, oh, Gutekunst is Gutekunst. Mm-hmm. After watching him speak after this whole thing about it all, I'm like, that guy stinks, dude. That guy stinks right there. Now, maybe we just caught him on a bad day, and he's obviously got a lot going on, and maybe I shouldn't judge him strictly off of this press conference. But everything he's saying, I'm like, that is not how, if you're trying to lead a team as a general manager, you should be speaking. And it's just like, who knows what conversations are happening behind closed doors. And with the amount of times he has contradicted himself on this situation publicly, I couldn't even fathom the amount of times privately that he has done that and that whole thing. I just, in my eyes immediately, Gutekunst stinks, I think. And I hate it because I want to see the Packers win, but that guy stinks, I think.